We are turning our attention to Summer League, setting the expectations. What should you be expecting from Sam Hauser, from JD Davison? Some real fun conversation about the potential of what Davison can be and the interesting comments from his college coach. So much to talk about here about the Summer League right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you so much for making this show part of your daily routine. Here for you Monday through Friday, even in this July kind of moving into Summer League. Yeah, we'll talk about Summer League for 30 minutes because this was a lot of fun. First day of practice, got to see some things. So we'll talk about that here on the podcast, which is free. It's available everywhere you get your podcasts. If you're new to the show, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch the show on YouTube and, just enjoy the scenery if you so choose. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. Pick that up at my website, johnkaralis.com. And I was one of the voters for the Celtics 75th anniversary team. Today's show brought to you by Arcade 1UP. Arcade 1UP is giving away 3 NBA JAM Shaq machines, 3 of them. So, one of them is coming to me because I demand this. And if for some reason that doesn't happen, if you win, it's required legally for you to have me over to your house to play NBA Jam. Arcade 1UP is known for making incredible retro 3/4 scale at-home arcade games like Pac-Man, Golden Tee, and this Shaq Edition NBA Jam. Enter at arcade1up.com/lockdown. That's arcade1, the number 1, arcade1up.com/lockdown for your chance to win. I got Tom Westerholm with me today. Hi, Tom Westerholm.
Hello, John.
I had a question posed to me since we are now tied together once again, since we were co-workers at Mass Live.
We were.
Yeah, and now we're doing
we had a good time.
Yeah, we have fun together.
Yeah.
So if I'm analogy man, then you should have like some sort of, I don't know if you're a sidekick in this show or just like, another you must have some sort of superpower in the show that has to be as mundane as the ability to make good analogies.
We're going to have to workshop it. I don't have anything as good as Analogy Man right off the top. Because
Ennui Man, a lot of ennui coming.
We'll have to workshop it, because the thing about Analogy Man is that, you claim Analogy Man, and the first thing you can do is bang, 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 come up with 4 analogies to demonstrate that you are Analogy Man. But I got to come prepared.
Circus seal. I'm not some thing in an aquarium that you throw a fish at and I just bark for you. I do it when I need to do it.
I feel like when somebody threw the Analogy Man fish at you, you just started barking right away. So I might argue, but yes, regardless.
By the way, comparing myself to a barking seal that performs for fish is a form of analogy. So
it is.
There you go.
See, I told you, you can just come up with them right away. So we need.
Pow!
Yeah, exactly. Like I need something that can.
You need something.
I need something.
Let's talk about Summer League. Today, your superpower is talking about Summer League basketball.
Sam Hauser talk, man. Let's get it.
Sam Hauser guy. Which, if as we're recording this, and I have not been watching Chet Holmgren's debut in Summer League, but oh boy, according to Twitter, he's really good. That's going to be, I'm looking forward to somewhat similar overreactions to Celtics performances. I feel like this is the time where I have to send out my warning for Summer League performance. I think, you tell me if you believe this. Good performances don't mean a thing in Summer League. Bad performances do. If you suck in Summer League, that's a problem. But if you're really good at Summer League, then I'm like, okay, that's nice. Chet is supposed to be good, and I have no idea what this means for him. Like he could probably be rookie of the year. I'm not saying anything about that. But when you're Chet, when you're one of these rookies, when you're one of these highly touted guys, you're kind of supposed to come in and kind of torch lesser competition. This is not great competition. It's not cohesive at all. And each team has like 60% of the roster or maybe more that has like ulterior motives. Like they're not there to be like half the Celtics team. Most of the Celtics team's not there to be part of the Celtics. They're there to win like jobs and whatever. So I think good performances are great. It's nice to see. Congratulations. Everybody tweet your check gifts and all that stuff. But like to me, that's meaningless. But if you came out and sucked, we'd be like, ooh, if you can't even be good against Summer League right away, you're really behind.
I think that's pretty fair, especially when you think about what some of the best Summer League performances were, right? You get like your Carson Edwards, where everybody was like, holy cow, like, is this guy going to be on an all-star team? Or you're like, Peyton Pritchard, like, man, this guy's awesome. And like, Pritchard could still be a perfectly serviceable NBA player. And, maybe Carson could catch on somewhere, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the things that like make you really good at Summer League, a lot of times don't translate that well to the NBA, right? Like Carson was never going to be like a high usage guy. And that's why he was excelling at Summer League. Like, the same thing is true of, a lot of guys. I think when you look at Chet, one of the things that you're seeing in this initial, these initial like kind of flashes from him, he's making threes, he's hitting shots that nobody in the NBA is going to be able to block, with maybe the exception of Rob Williams. He's, like defending the rim, doing all the stuff that you're like, hey, hopefully, when you watch him at Gonzaga, you're like, hey, hopefully he can do that stuff in the NBA, and he can do it at Summer League. So that's a positive.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, but like you said, yeah, I mean, Carson Edwards did what he did at Purdue at Summer League. So we'll see, man. But good start for sure. God, Chet looks awesome. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah. And so like you hope that Sam Hauser can get out there. I mean, Sam Hauser should go out to Summer League and average like 20 something. He should be able to get free for 3-pointers. He should be able to show some defensive acumen. He should be able to do that stuff because this isn't even G League competition. Because a lot of these guys aren't even going to make the G League. A lot of these guys are just trying to hold on or trying to hook on or only going to be good enough to go to some of the international leagues. I've had friends of mine from, Emerson who got into coaching overseas, and they're coaching in like the Japanese second division, right? And that's fine. That's great. You got to go out there, you get paid to play basketball and all of that, but it's also the Japanese second division, and it's not exactly a hotbed of hoops, but he's scouting at Summer League for talent that can kind of like, that's the level, right? And some of those guys, that's where they're going to end up versus, Euro League, which is the next league, your next stepping stone.
I remember one year I was watching, it was several years ago at this point, but I was sitting next to a coach for an international team, and he and I were talking, and he was like watching this one guy who was really like obviously the worst guy on the court, and it was just like pretty excited about him because he was like, I could go get that guy. And I remember saying to him, like, I think it was Kyle O'Quinn, that I was like, oh yeah, like, what would Kyle O'Quinn do in your league? And he was just like, dude, Kyle O'Quinn, he would destroy everyone. It was like, yeah, it's Kyle O'Quinn. It's like, he's, a nice enough guy. But yeah, no, I mean, it's true, right? Like the competition isn't that strong. And, I think guys like Sam Hauser are kind of interesting because one of the things that they run into is that they don't always have like, the right guys around them for them to succeed, right? Like Sam Hauser kind of needs somebody to pass him the ball. Like, I think it was Ryan Bernardoni, Danger Card on Twitter, who jokes that he wants to see Sam Hauser average 20 points per game without dribbling at Summer League. And it's like, that should be what it looks like, but you also need a point guard who's facilitating to that. So I don't know, maybe the JD Davison, Sam Hauser 1-2 punch is just everything that Celtics fans could hope for.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I just love about Summer League though is is the unbridled enthusiasm. As much as I want to be like, okay, it's not gonna, don't get too crazy. It's just, I love the fact that people are so into it that they're, oh, who knows? Maybe this guy, who knows? Who knows? He did all right here. They're like, yeah, he did all right. It's, we'll see. We'll see.
My whole thing is like, have fun, because life is too short to not have fun watching basketball. Like, enjoy yourself. Go crazy over these guys. Just don't get mad at them when they aren't, when Carson Edwards isn't an all-star just because you thought he was good. Like, as long as you don't get mad at Carson Edwards for not being a superstar, no problem. Have fun, go crazy, overreact, the whole thing. But if if it's gonna bleed into it, and then you're like, wow, like Draymond, what Draymond Waters was such a bum. And it's like, no, he was a borderline NBA guy, and like that's kind of where it ended. That's fine.
That's it. You hit on it perfectly right there. If you understand that this isn't going to translate necessarily, just understand that. Like that, and that's my whole thing. I'm all about like all I want to do is set the right expectations for people, and then you can go from there. However you want to root for, don't root for, whatever. But I really want to make sure that everybody understands the expectations of it. Sam, this is why I said Davison, I think, is going to have a great summer league because he's a super athlete. And this is the setting where super athletes do really, really well because the defenses suck. There's always going to be a seam for him to exploit. He's going to dunk on somebody 5 minutes into summer league. The gift's going to get passed around. People are going to be like, oh, damn, Brad Stevens with the steal. Oh, my God. I'm like, okay, maybe. But also, he could be summer league MVP and end up on a two-way. Like, you got to, like, just calm down. Just understand what it is. Have fun with what it is. And just don't carry that expectation because you just don't know.
And always remember that, like this kid, the Celtics are going to try to develop him. They're going to do what they can. But, the type of player who's available around then is going to be a guy who very well might not be an NBA player. Like JD Davison might be. Like, you never know. But
you never know.
But also Yamadar is 3 years into his time. He was also drafted around this time. So just remember that. There's no guarantees that anybody in that range is going to pan out and actually contribute. So let's have fun watching him and hope for the best.
Have fun. He's going to dunk on people. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Dunk on somebody.
Yeah. Let's talk about Davison.
It's going to be everywhere. It'll be great.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Let's talk about Davison when we come back, because there's more to Davison that's intriguing, that raises some okay, let's see. You never know. Also intriguing, getting one of these Shaq NBA Jam machines from Arcade 1UP. I am dying for one of these. Arcade 1UP is the leader in home retro arcade games, and they're bringing back the best game ever. It's a Shaq edition machine. People are obsessed with NBA Jam. I'm obsessed with NBA Jam, and you can win one of these machines from Arcade 1UP. No fouls, no free throws, and now no quarters required for NBA Jam. You can compete with your friends and family through all new Wi-Fi leaderboards, making you more connected than ever. You can pre-order a machine from Arcade 1UP, that's arcade, up.com, for an estimated early September ship date. Arcade 1UP is the place for fun. They've got more classics like Golden Tee, Mortal Kombat, many others, and they start at just $399. Of course, it's the NBA Shaq edition machine that you want. Locked On listeners have a chance to win one of these. You can enter for a game console at arcade1up.com/locked-on. That's arcade, 1up.com/locked-on. You've only got a couple days left. July 8th is the deadline to enter to win an NBA Jam Shaq Edition console. Don't miss out. Enter today. Who are you going to play with? Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. I'd love for you to make Locked On NBA your second listen. I have already recorded the Locked On NBA show with Jake Madison. I host on Wednesdays with Jake. We broke down our wild cards from free agency so far. They did yesterday the winners and losers from free agency. We talked about the teams that were like, these guys could be really good or really bad. We talked about that. We got into the Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant stuff. Lots of fun talk over there. So go check out Locked On NBA. Make it your second listen every day. JD Davison spoke he's a soft-spoken young man. What I can gather from him is that he's a dog. He's got a lot of dog in him. He said some variation of that 5 separate times in 5 minutes of question and answers. But it's a real interesting situation for him where he kind of knows what it's going to take. He's got to go in here and earn his spot, earn his time. Didn't say much. I don't think he knew how to handle the media very well, but that's something he's going to learn as well. But he seems to get the message, Tom. Like, I got to go out there and I got to bust my butt on both ends.
JD's a really interesting player because the hype around him was really high, right? Like he was a 5-star kid, going to Alabama. He was an in-state kid. It's kind of interesting that this is the second, the second kind of like rural South guy that's on the Celtics team now, like where he just comes from like a tiny town in, in the South, with Rob Williams being the other, obviously. JD is like, he's really interesting to me because like, I never know what to make of the guys who rose really fast, and just were like, I mean, you go back and watch his highlight tapes and yeah, there's not a lot of future NBA players on the court against him or with him. But he is so far and away better than all of the people he's playing against. Like it's like watching, a professional play against high schoolers. Like that's pretty much what's going on. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of him because he then obviously had kind of a disappointing year at Alabama. And then, his coach talked to Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe today and said, I knew from the jump that this kid was going right to the NBA. So I wonder how coachable he was at Alabama. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. Like, I wonder, how much he looked at Alabama and just kind of said, like I'm only, I'm probably not sticking around here, which probably didn't help his draft stock, in a lot of ways. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he adjusts to the NBA where, okay, this was where he was trying to get and he got there and he's probably going to get some, small guaranteed contract. I think the Celtics will obviously kind of, whether it's a 2-way or whether it's, an end of the bench type contract, he's probably going to get it. And now he's got to prove it. He didn't really have to prove it at Alabama. He was the 5-star kid. He was probably going to get some kind of a chance in the NBA, but okay, this is it now. Like you were playing against little kids and you were the best kid on the court by far. And you kind of struggled a little bit at Alabama. And now you got to really, like you said, you got to show it. Like you can say you got a dog in you all you want, and he might, but like now you got to do it. Now you got to be, a dog on both ends. And otherwise the Celtics just aren't going to play you and your career is going to fizzle. So he's got a really interesting road ahead of him. I'm fascinated by where he's at.
What kind of dog is it? That's the key.
What kind of dog
is it?
Is he my dog where she's current, like one firework went off today and she's back in the bathroom where she's been for like a week now?
Sure,
or is he,
Yeah. So Himmelsbach spoke to Nate Oates, his Davison's college coach. And this quote sticks out where Oates said, he didn't have the best year, to be honest. It's his first time. It's the first time in his life he's actually had to compete for minutes and bring it every day.
Yep.
But he's got a bunch of upside. He's super athletic. That line, it's the first time in his life he's actually had to compete for minutes and bring it every day. That is the telling part right there. That says, that Davison probably walked into Alabama thinking he was going to be the king and he got knocked down a couple of pegs but he was always intending to go to the NBA. And so he even said, Davison said in his Q&A that he thinks the NBA and its spacing and the style is going to be conducive to a dynamic guard like him, a guy who can get to the rim with his speed and his athleticism. So, okay, he might be right. That we've seen that before, right, Tommy? Guy goes into college. He's like, hell, Jaylen Brown went to college and was like, you're going to pick this guy third? Yep. Have you seen what? And the fit wasn't right. The system wasn't right. So that quote, this whole concept, just obviously this can go any number of ways, but I feel like it can go one of two ways. He can he can come in here and be like, well, that was college. That's fine. I'm good. And then that's going to really be, I think, a bad attitude for him to have because he's not going to be good. That's going to be like, that's the James Young path where you come in and you're like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good. My talent will win out. And you're like, nope, because every dude at this level is at least as talented as you. What are you going to do with it? Or he could be like, well, I had to compete for minutes and it didn't go great. Now I have to compete for minutes again because I'm not beating out Marcus Smart and I'm not beating out Malcolm Brogdon. So I gotta really show them how I can play, so I have an opportunity to get in here and maybe get some minutes, or tell them, whenever you're done with Brogdon or whenever you're done with one of these guys, I'm ready to step in. So it's his choice to kind of how he can approach this next level.
Because the interesting thing about, like, when he was talking about how, like, the NBA is spaced and it's a little bit better for a guard like me, that is true to an extent, especially, like a lot of those Alabama teams, like they're not super conducive to his style of play. Like, so I get what he's saying. On the other hand, everybody is so freaking good here, dude. like everybody's so good at this level. Like, it's crazy the difference between college and professional hoops. It's completely different. And yes, he is otherworldly athletic. He will even look athletic among super athletes. Like, there's no question about that. He will. But it just comes down to what you do with that, because you can be as athletic as you want, but like right now, everybody can dribble better than you, shoot better than you, pass better than you, defend better than you. And it's, like, you do have the athletic gifts. There's no question about that, but it's just going to be what he does with them. And how he approaches that. And I think you're right. I think, it really is. It's going to be one or the other. And it's really going to depend on how he decides to take it. So, and I mean, I don't know JD at all. So I'm, fascinated to see how it goes. I can't sit here. I want to be clear that I'm not saying like, he had a bad attitude at Alabama. I don't think he's going to be good in the NBA. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, like, now it's up to him now to write sort of his own story. And I think that's going to be really fascinating.
Totally. Look, why are there so many stories about guys in the second round that suddenly pan out?
Yeah.
I think for a lot of guys, I mean, it's a combination of things. Some are just scouting misses, evaluation misses, where people don't see the underlying, like, maybe Nikola Jokic is too pudgy and they don't see a lot of the stuff like, okay, yeah, he can pass a little bit, but like, he's just this big doughy guy and we're not, and then people, oh, well, you don't realize what he's got inside him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's guys like this, like Davison, who, you came in touted and then it didn't really, and then your workouts, maybe, they talk about him being quiet and you're like, he doesn't strike me as a big time competitor if he's just going to come in here and be quiet. Like, we want a guy that's going to come out here. We want to, everybody can be mad at Draymond Green, but nothing wrong with a little Draymond in a player, right? Like, you want a little attitude, you want a little something. Anyway,
everybody can be mad at Draymond. Yeah. Everybody can be mad at Draymond Green. You want somebody who's going to be mad at, like, the nicest guy on the court, right? You want somebody who's like that. That's the kind of dog you want to see, I think.
Yeah. So I think why some of these guys become hits in the second round is they have seen their draft stock fall. They understand, like, man, Chet just got all this money. Look at all this money that I could have had if I went up in the high lottery. And now here I am, second round, no guaranteed contract, fighting for a two-way. All of a sudden you go from 5 million to 500,000. You take a zero off of that, and that's a big difference in life. And you're like, damn. Well, now I got to prove a lot of people wrong. Does this implant, not just put a chip on your shoulder, does this implant a chip on your shoulder that makes you just forever say, I got to prove everybody wrong, because every team in the NBA, except the Celtics, because they didn't have a first round pick, every team in the NBA said, nah. So now I got to go out there and prove to them that they messed up. Now, if he has that attitude and he takes a little bit of time to develop and work on, ball handling and work on some of the other stuff, now you got yourself a potential hit in the second round. Now that's a guy that if he does hit, now you can, when Malcolm Brogdon 2 years into his contract, trade him in $22 million and get this kid on the rookie contract with energy and all this other stuff. And now you've got something. But it really is. Ultimately, it's up to him. It's up to him how he wants to process what has happened to him, where he is. How does he handle this going forward? This is what makes an NBA player. JD Davison is as talented and physically gifted as just about anybody in the league. But what's up here? What's upstairs? How does he process a slight? How does he That's what makes a guy like Draymond, and what makes these other guys elite when other guys are more athletic. This kid has something to decide on his own. That's my coach speak. That's my coach speak.
Yep.
All right. We'll come back to talk more about what we saw at day one at Summer League practice, including Grant Williams, ironically, the official in Summer League game. I'll talk about that after we talk about BetOnline.net, your number one source for all your betting needs. I think you can even bet on Summer League games. You want to go and bet on Summer League games? Oh yeah, there are odds on that. I wouldn't recommend it. That's way out of my league. I am not there. But if you're there, go for it. That's up to you. If you don't want to do that, you can bet on Major League Baseball. Wimbledon, is that still going on? I think maybe that's over. Whatever. There's other tennis tournaments coming up. There's golf tournaments coming up. Boxing, MMA. It's all there at betonline.net, your continued source for all your sports wagering information, live betting. So head on over to the website, betonline.net. You can use your mobile device if you'd like. You can learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. So they raised at the facility. Nice to be back in the practice facility. It's been a while. They raised the curtain, and the summer Celtics are scrimmaging back and forth. So the first thing I noticed was, is that Grant Williams refereeing the scrimmage? That was hilarious for a guy that has become one of the most vocal just complainers on the team to go out there and be an official. We were sitting there saying, like, we need to talk to Grant. We need Grant to talk about his experience as an official. Like, I just think it was funny.
Very funny. I mean, it felt like Ime Udoka is doing, right? Like that Ime was just like, Grant, I'm tired of you. I've
Grant's in the building.
Here. All the officials have had it up to here. You get out there and you go be an official. How about that? The only problem is Grant got a bunch of guys who are on their absolute best behavior, right? Like Grant got guys who want so bad. It's their, I guess there's, their second chance to make a great first impression. They're just trying to like really toe the line. Like Grant needed, I don't know, man. Grant needed a bunch of people who were going to really treat him the way he treats
Jayson Tatum. He needs to go officiate a Jayson Tatum scrimmage.
He does.
Yeah.
He really needs to officiate a Tatum scrimmage just so he can really experience what Zach Zarba experiences with him.
He would give Tatum a tech within 4 seconds of his first complaint. He would just tee him up. But I think it's funny that he's out there just officiating. And I think he blew a call. I think he missed the moving screen. I saw it. I forget who said it, but it was right in front of Grant. It was a clear moving screen. Guy falls down, knocked down, and Grant doesn't make the call. I mean, I understand letting him play, but that was a horrible missed call. Grant Williams, horrible officiating, costing a team a win in a summer league scrimmage.
It's shameful, really. It's Grant
Really?
Williams' fault that whoever, well, I think it was Begarin who was coming around the screen, right? Who got knocked down. I could
It
be
might have been.
wrong, but
It might have been. I don't remember.
yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be Grant's fault that whoever that was who got knocked down doesn't make the NBA. But yeah, no,
There it is.
yeah, no. I mean, look, like it's a real smart move, man. Like it is. I mean, you've probably officiated a game or two. It is hard. It sucks. It's the worst.
I
I
have.
hate it. I hate it.
Used to
So,
do. We used to do intramurals. We
yep,
used
I've
to
done
like
intramurals. Yep,
come in the basketball team. We would get like work study. We'd get like $25 to referee an intramural game.
yep,
Oh God, I've thrown people out of games quick with the texts. Like,
yeah,
oh man, I did not. We almost like me and a teammate would be out there like because in college we're the basketball team, so
right.
you can't talk to me about you. You couldn't make our team. You're out here playing intramurals, so don't
I'm
talk
here
to me about
studying
basketball.
basketball, MF.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
who are you? Like I'm the starting forward on the. Who are you? You're gonna tell me about a call? Bam! There's your tech. Sit down and shut up. I was the worst, most arrogant official you could ever find. It's actually kind of fun. It's actually kind
wow,
of fun to be
wow.
that jerk on the.
Wow. Oh man. I
It
see. I
is.
had a very different experience. Because here's the thing. I was an official and I was doing a bad job. And I knew I was doing a bad job. And everybody on the court knew I was doing a bad job. And so at some point when it's just like all of those things and everybody knows you're just doing terribly,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just kind of stop making calls. Ball goes out of bounds. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, that way.
Yeah.
So I had a very different experience than you did, yeah, it was not fun. Yeah, it was not a good time.
Can I tell you my absolute worst officiating moment? It wasn't basketball. I was doing youth baseball. I was an umpire. And this was like 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. This is horrible. I was in like high school. And it was like a summer thing. Like I was a high school baseball player too. So I started out, think of Naked Gun. When like the umpiring scene when Frank Drebin goes in, like the first thing he goes, strike, and everybody like erupts, and by the end he's like moonwalking. That was basically me. But I was doing, when there was a strikeout, I was doing the full like arm out pull, strike three. Like people were like, what is with you? I was so into it. I never umpired a game after that.
You were never asked back.
I was never asked back. Oh my God. So yeah,
I can see Grant Williams
that
though.
might be why I never get into the officiating as well, because I'm like, I was horrible at it.
Yeah.
Kind of a jerk about it.
Yo.
So I don't want to get into it.
I wish it had taught me something. So here's the thing. The other thing I will say is like I was a referee and I hated it and I realized how awful it is when everybody's just complaining to you. And
Yeah.
then even well after college, deep into my men's league days, long after I should have been way more mature, I was still just whining about everything. So no, I don't think this is going to teach Grant a
No, nothing.
single thing.
Nothing.
Like this man is going to be complaining about every call that goes against him for the rest of time.
I don't think this is the first time he's ever officiated anything either.
It probably
If you're a basketball player, you have
Yeah.
been asked to officiate some
Yeah.
level of a basketball game before.
You
So
definitely have.
you know. And I think that basketball players do relish the opportunity to be absurd about their officiating. I do
Yeah.
think, like, I don't think I'm alone in that. I think when you've spent so much time like arguing for calls, you want to become almost like a caricature of the person you're complaining to. You go
Yeah.
out there and you're like, oh, look at me, I'm the ref. And you start to become like this stylized version of the refs that you complain to just for as a goof.
You start
So,
doing like the Joey Crawford dance where he's like,
oh yeah, that big like
Yeah.
boom, the big like, oh yeah, oh absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. It's just one big farce. So I'd like to think that Grant Williams learned a lesson. He absolutely did not.
There's no way he did.
There's absolutely not. If anything, it just makes him think that he's right even more. because he'll
What are you
probably
talking
say
about?
like,
I've been a ref. I know what I'm doing.
he's like, well, finally I can show these refs a little something about how to do it. Like finally.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. My other favorite moment from there was, so we weren't on the floor and the guys weren't wearing jerseys with numbers. It was just reversible green and white. And like 10 of these guys are like, no one knows who they are. Like you just don't know. And there's no identifier. So there's a dude next to me who's taking pictures, stills for whatever. It doesn't matter. And he's clicking. We're all just talking, but we're upstairs. For people who don't know, at the R-Back Center, we're upstairs. There's glass between us. We can't hear anything. We can't really, it's muffled. So somebody dunks on somebody. And the guy who took the picture, like he took the pictures, like, who is that? So he can identify this person, probably for the caption. And I'm standing next to him. I was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, that could be. And I pull out the roster. I'm like, and I look up and I got like Adam Himmelsbach and Jay King and somebody. And I was like, hey guys, who was that? And Jay's like, that's a good question. no one knew who just dunked on who. It was the dude in the green got dunked on by this dude in the white. And we think it might've been this guy. It might've been that guy, but we don't know. That's how anonymous most of this Celtics roster is. Like, we talked about Sam Hauser. We talked about JD Davison. Juhan Begoron is another guy that we'll probably talk about, not now, but like as things progress, because I don't know that he's in a position to make this roster. He's going to stay stashed. And then everybody else, I think Matt Ryan is there.
Yeah.
Broderick Thomas is there. So some like connections to the team, but may not still be connected to the team. And everybody else is just some dude who was free, filled a roster spot. You got to field enough players to play an actual basketball game. And all of these guys are just out there to be like, hope some scout sees me. Maybe I hook on with an NBA team, or maybe some European team, or that Japanese B League that I was talking about before. Somebody who's going to pay me to play basketball. So all of these, like most of these guys are out there just like, yeah, hi, I'm just player B and whatever. So, but that was fun.
Deeply insulting by you here. Incidentally, we have JD Davison, the guys that you mentioned. You completely left off local legend AJ Reeves, who was awesome in high school.
Sure.
I watched him. I spoke to many a high school and prep coach who were like, that guy's a surefire NBA player. I think the thing that I've always enjoyed about Summer League is like the anonymous guys all have like interesting stories, right? Like there's like, and I mean, I know you weren't saying that they don't, obviously, but like it's very fun to me, like because like these guys aren't NBA players, but they're very good at basketball. Like they're really excellent hoopers, like guys who are easily the best player on their high school team, maybe the best player in their in their area. Just like some guy. I remember one time I was talking to a guy who was from kind of like my neck of the woods in the Midwest, right? He was from like a town in South Dakota that I'd gone to many times, and it was just funny. It was like, oh man, like this guy must have been just the absolute king in in middle of South Dakota, right? So I don't know. That's something I've always enjoyed about the NBA. I also think like there's guys on the Celtic, like Jordan Bone. I kind of think he's good. I don't know. We'll see. He's my pick for Celtic Summer League guy who everybody's like, ooh, that guy might make an NBA team. Like Jordan Bone's pretty good. So I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to watch a bunch of guys who are like it's what's that guy that Jared Uthoff or whatever that was like on the Celtic Summer League team a couple years later. Like you remember some of the names and you can kind of like track their progress through the Euro leagues, which they are destined for. Summer League's a good time.
So it is a good time. And like, I don't mean this like with disrespect, like every one of these guys, like the NBA there's only enough room for like, at this point with the 2As and all that stuff, 500 people. There's 500 guys. And in all of the world, there's 500 guys. And there's guaranteed many, many more than 500 guys who have the talent to be on those fringes. Like there's a lot of guys who are more talented than NBA guys playing in like other leagues, like than like the low fringe guys. There's
There's some guys who could very easily be low fringe guys, playing
100%.
in other leagues.
So, circumstances, whose agent got the phone call first, right? Who, like, when Brad Stevens picks up his phone and starts calling, it's who picks up and who was on the phone. Like, if my agent was on the phone with, I don't know, Utah and saying, no, sorry, not the best opportunity, but your agent was like trying to get through, or you were trying to get, like, the other person's agent who picked up was like, yeah, we'll come to Summer League for you, Boston. And next thing you know, that's the call. Like, the call was going to go to me, but he couldn't get through because my agent was talking to somebody else. You got the call, and now you're on the team, and you have the opportunity, and maybe it's the right fit, and your career takes off, and I'm sitting here just podcasting for the rest of my life. You just never know. But
the story of how you almost made it, Karalis.
That's it. That's the one I'm sticking to. But that really is, like, those little things are just the difference between a guy on the fringe getting the call and a guy not getting the call. That it's just someone flips, your finger slips and you call the wrong agent. Who knows what it is? But there's these guys who are all good enough to get paid to play basketball. And that's kind of what Summer League is.
Yep.
It's kind of like a big showcase of, all right, we're all going shopping for basketball players, and we're all trying to, like, pick through, and everybody, like, most of these guys are going to find a way, if they want, to go get paid and play basketball. It's just a matter of the opportunity that's in front of them is acceptable to them or not. And that's where it is. But you're right. AJ Reeves, like, I just watched him play at PC. PC just had this awesome season. Like obviously he's a really good basketball player. Trevion Williams, like, Jay King was sitting there like, Trevion Williams is my guy. Like, this dude can pass. Like, yeah, he's like, this is a guy that one of my favorite things is that all of these guys, like, you have the draft and the draft is over, and then the unsigned guys start getting picked up. And I just love the people who rave about, like, ooh, that was a good pickup. That was a good unsigned pickup. You're like, if he was that good, you would have drafted him. Like,
well, for the most part, I do think there's some positioning that happens at the back end of the second round, right?
Sure.
It is better to like get like a 4-year guaranteed deal, or a 2-year, 3-year, whatever guaranteed deal, as opposed to necessarily kind of be in that second round pick where you still have to earn some things. But no, I mean, to your point, I think Ben Sullivan, the Celtics Summer League head coach, he was like, I think the main goal of Summer League for these guys is it's their opportunity, like, it's their chance to improve, their chance to get better, their chance to have success and find their way in the league. And we're here to help them in every way possible to do that. Like, this is the one that is more about the prospects, right? And the teams, they're watching, they're ready to grab a guy if they think that he might help. But realistically, this is about, this is a chance for guys to prove themselves, for guys to catch on somewhere more so than it is anything else. So, yeah, it's an interesting time.
It's a real interesting time. It's so fascinating. Like, I really do love this part of the basketball journey for so many people, because this is where really a lot of the interesting stories are told. So many interesting stories. These guys that are really trying, they're so desperate to hook on. Maybe there's guys at the ends of their careers, there's guys at the beginnings of their careers. The things that at 19 and 20 that they want, that they think they can accomplish, how close they really think they are. Oh, it's so wild. I think it's all fascinating. All right, that's enough Summer League talk for now, because that's gonna be all we're gonna talk about. I can talk about this stuff forever. I guess that's what makes me, like, suited to do a basketball podcast, because these little nuances are things like, oh my God, I could do 2 hours on the nuance of, like, trying to get that Summer League invite and why and who and whatever.
Because it's July 5. We're on 40 minutes of podcasting, and I'm interrupting you to make a point about the end of the second round of the draft. Yeah.
That's why we are here doing this podcast. All right, Tom. Appreciate you as always. And go ahead. Say your goodbyes.
All right. Bye, everybody.
That's Tom Westerholm, Tom_NBA. And I'm John Karalis, John_Karalis. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for subscribing. If you are a subscriber, watch the show on YouTube. We're getting close to 7,500 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you so much. If you are a subscriber, especially on YouTube, there's so much more interaction. I would love the thumbs up and the comments and all of that stuff. Feed that algorithm. It's a hungry beast, and it demands your comments and likes. So please do that and share the podcast. Tell your friends. Tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.